Okay, so this is the Ibis Sprint 3 review.
1 second. Really quick, in case you have multiple screens, right now we just see your desktop with the pink flowers.
We see your mouse. That's something.
And that will be the part that's recorded. So.
Okay, now we see it.
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good. This is the Ibis Sprint 3 view. Okay, we'll start with platform. Thomas?
Sure. There were a number of enhancements to streamline the release process, to make the builds, RC builds more efficient, and also to enable running end of sprint beta builds for Junco and onwards. This will help us essentially exercise the release process more frequently and hopefully further streamline it from there. Also, Ray fixed the Sonar build and ported it over to use the bug-based builds, which sort of reinstate our visibility to get coverage and static analysis numbers. That facility was offline for a couple of weeks. So there was
all I did was run about 3,000 times.
Okay. Also, Ray and Brian, maybe I should let you guys speak to these things. Why don't you guys talk to these things?
Okay. Well, the offline deployment, I actually did that one, which basically entailed repackaging Karaf such that it included all of the statically known artifacts that it needed. So this way, in theory, for deployments, we no longer need line of sight to the internet to run, which I know Lucas wanted. And the RC4 in progress. I'm actually watching the screen now as we speak. Hopefully that'll be done in about half an hour. Once that's up and we have determined it's running, we're gonna we'll make a 1.8 maintenance branch, and then master will be open for 1.9 check-ins.
Great.
Northbound?
So there were a couple of fixes that went into the intent framework. There were 3 regressions, I guess. We were able to address 2 of them. The first one was that intents were showing up as installed even if devices weren't present. This one was fixed. The other one we fixed was a bug that wasn't. We actually reported it fixed in 1.7.0, but the code was never actually merged into the branch and tested. So that was fixed as well.
Is it talking?
Yeah, is someone talking?
No.
Okay.
Can we skip past UI?
Simon?
Hi. Yeah, thanks. So work on topology version 2 continues. We've now got host region and link selection showing details of those items, and also the escape key will deselect things. Not related to the topology view, we had more work done on the cluster node view. So if you look at the list of cluster nodes, you can select one and a details panel will come in showing you basic information about them, but also it lists the devices for which that node is master. Also done were a couple of bug fixes. These were so this was for more the newer members of the brigade, and so we've cleaned up a couple of things here. And then also a couple of well, one miscellaneous thing was to basically delete code and experimental script files that have been hanging around in the source tree since about Blackbird release, and we finally got rid of that now. It was no longer warranted. And then I also spent some time during the sprint doing some code reviews of high priority items. There was Yang reviews and other reviews that I spent some time on. So that kind of summarizes our sprint.
Luca?
Yeah, so, well, I guess the first part is on Pierre because he led this effort, so.
Okay. Actually, the three items have been done in the previous sprint, but were merged in this sprint. Basically, we add the encapsulation to the link connection intent. We do also some improvement in the generation of action. We can optimize the chain, but we can also address some problem that we had in the previous implementation. And then we did also this kind of harmonization of the intent framework on the Northbound. Basically, now we have a single compiler to compile different types of intent.
So do you want to maybe talk also about the bug fix?
Yeah, but yes, our minor bug fix regarding the IP address, IP prefix object. And also we fix a null pointer exception when we deserialize a neighbor advertisement. And we had also some problem when we compiled multi-point intent with encapsulation and a single loop, but this has been resolved in this sprint.
Yeah, so then once we had the encapsulation features in the intent framework for link collection intents, we added that feature into VPLS. And there are items that have been completed but still under review. One is the new VPLS CLI. The other one, quite larger, is the bandwidth enforcement for multi-point intents. So finally, very soon, hopefully, we will be able to enforce bandwidth for all these intents. And also, some patches went in, some are still in progress. Here I put a generic bullet for that. Support for meters in the resource.
So in order to find out output we needed a way to identify the root of the string, and that was the intent key. This thing was mostly done on the previous sprint, and now version this.
Yuta, can you step closer to the microphone? You sound very faint.
Here, there, wherever you want.
Work was around the linear protection thing. That is still in incubation, hanging in Garrett, and hopefully to get merged toward 1.9 DBs at some point. That's it.
Virtualization?
Hello. So for Virtualization Brigade, we have three sub-modules. So first of all, for Northbound APIs, such as the OpenFlow agent, we have not much progress in this sprint, but we reviewed and revised the skeleton code for OpenFlow agent application and the channel handler and the pipelines. And for virtual network core system, we refactored the legacy code namings and the structure a little bit more, and then we also defined some flow managers and also defined device events. For southbound interfaces, I implemented default virtual flow provider and packet provider, but not yet tested. So I hope that those implementation will be implemented and integrated with manager services, and maybe next sprint we will give us some brief demo on how virtualization system will work. This is the current status of Virtualization Brigade.
Dynamic configuration.
So out of the 27 Jira tickets that we had planned for the sprint, 23 have been moved to resolved or closed state. The tickets were under 3 epics: YMS, Yang utils, and dynamic config. The remaining 4 are being actively worked on. Apart from those, we had few tickets that were planned for last sprint, were under review and are now closed. For a demo, configuring a vendor device through YMS will be demonstrated during the next sprint demo in the evening session. Next slide, please. So the refactoring of the dynamic configuration architecture is in progress. All the relevant information is updated in the wiki, which includes the links to documents, weekly meeting, dial-in and agenda and minutes, roadmap, and a requirement request sheet. What is achieved is an open communication channel for the entire community is set up. We have now 36 brigade members from 9 different vendors and service providers who show interest in the activities of the brigade. They are either interested in contributing or demonstrating through dynamic configuration. Design requirement document is initiated and is under review. A roadmap is planned. Implementation is focused on ironing out the details of information exchange between different components like protocol adapters, Yang runtime, and the store. APIs and models are being proposed and are being reviewed. And there is one more bullet, I guess. So the important fact is that a requirement sheet is set up in the wiki. Whoever wants to add requirements from this this component, please feel free to add the requirements there, which can be considered during the next release plannings. That's it from me.
Thanks, Sarah. vRouter. Is someone going to cover this?
Yeah, I can provide some information about the bug, but I don't know. These guys, I think they are trying to support the IPv6 in vRouter, and basically there is a bug in the HostMonitor when we try to probe sending NDP packets, but these packets are not correct with regard to the RFC. But I don't know if this bug really blocked the API. I don't know. Yeah, this is what I can say.
Okay, thanks, Vera. Miscellaneous.
I can cover this. This is for Charles. He had another meeting that he had to attend. So basically, the host location provider was enhanced to also allow learning of the hosts from their DHCP packets. And the route service was enhanced to allow static route configuration using the REST API, where you can just basically upfront specify routes using network configuration.
QA.
So for the QA for the sprint, we enhanced some topology scaling test cases, and we also added some new tagging to SD and IP tests. And we also started running the ONOS in the offline mode, and then we ran some test cases for that. And we continue with the collaboration for the BII and Huawei and Verizon for the performance tests. Huawei we have reduced a little, but BII and Verizon we are like continuously following up with them for the performance test cases. And there are still work in progress for the 2 items listed below. This is for the improvement on the intent reroute test cases, and we are still continuing with the VPLS functionality test. So that's the functional coverage for the QA this sprint. So can you go to next slide, please? So regarding the bugs, I would like Yo to cover that.
Okay. So this spring we have resolved 74 bugs. Oh, okay. I just updated this week. So we resolved 74 bugs and created 20 bugs, and there are totaling 185 open bugs. So there are some selected high priority bugs. The first two are new bugs we discovered this spring. So I think both of them are caused by the same change that the resubmit pending enhancement. That change that is causing the intent throughput test regress 50%, and also so it should be the second and the third bugs are new, and the third is when we use for objective intent compiler and push test. One push test intent is a large batch size. Some installing state. Okay, and the rest bugs are from previous spring already.
But do we plan to release with those bugs?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not something that, like, who cares, right? If an instance goes down, the cluster goes down. I mean, or we can use flow objectives, or it works at out from the performance. I'm just saying, should we prioritize these days something, and what do you think? Well, maybe after. Sorry to interrupt.
Well,
do you want to do this, or do you want me to?
Well, what I suggest is that we probably need to hold a bug scrub so that we can prioritize the defects and decide what we want to do with them. Because some of them clearly need to be addressed and maybe even elevated in priority, which may impact potentially the Junco planning next week. And then some of them we ought to probably deprioritize. For example, just as an example, the intent throughput test regression. Well, it's certainly something maybe to take a look at if there's an obvious cause of this. But overall, I think we should be expecting an intent regression after we implement persistence of intents. We had some requests for intent persistence, and I replied to the party that it was configurable, only to discover that actually we never implemented persistence of intents. So this is something I was completely unaware of, and I think in my view that is actually a significant drawback. So once intents are being persisted by default, clearly the throughput will go down. That's something to be expected. And we may not, so the time we spend trying to optimize or find why it regressed when it's in memory may not yield any results or any fruitful results, potentially. After we make them persist.
I agree. We should for sure focus on more, well, first on the functionalities and then on the performances, right? Before it should just work, but yeah.
So basically, long story short, we need to have a bug scrub.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think I've also heard lots of concerns around 5347, right? And so my understanding is we're in a release train. This is going to release, but if needed, we can do a 1.8.1 release with some of these fixes, right, to address some of the concerns we're hearing from partners.
Yeah, also 5691, I would say, because sure. Outflow objectives are used.
Yes, well, I think there's going to be more bugs. We just need to, we probably shouldn't talk to them specifically here. We should just make sure that we schedule a bug scrub, and then we can discuss them in more detail then.
Okay. Just a quick question. So when can we have that bug scrub meeting?
Well, I would suggest that we actually schedule it probably early next week sometimes. Okay. Or potentially... or at least maybe if you have some specific things, no, I guess it depends whether or not we want to hook these to the Junco train, or whether or not we just simply want to have a bug scrub and then insert things into the work stream after the fact, after the planning. I think probably having to do it after planning is going to have to be probably the.
Thomas, we could do this bug scrub at 3 p.m. after this meeting.
That's a possibility too. But I don't want it to. I want to make sure that this does not prevent RC4 from going out in the first place.
Well, it's not affecting RC4. RC4 is going to happen independently of whether these bugs get fixed or not. But
what I mean is the meeting. What I meant is the meeting. That's all. So if you have time, yes, let's do it.
I think for sure we need to do it before we start sprint 1, which is on 12/12, right?
Exactly. Agreed. Which is why I suggested to do it early next week.
So we start sprint 1 on 12/12?
Yes.
What do we do next week?
We're inventorying all the things we need to do, apparently. So.
Sorry?
Fixing bugs.
So how about can we can I have a suggestion? So can we have it like on either Monday or Tuesday? So we also internally can go through the bugs and then just quickly make sure that what we want to cover, and then we can bring it up and we can discuss in the meeting. That way it's more productive.
I think that would be better than trying to do it just on the spot next.
Okay.
Let's do it Tuesday.
Okay, thank you so much.
LISP.
I don't know if we have. Jean is online. He's just probably muted. There you go.
Yeah, okay. I will report for LISP. So in the last sprint, we tested and supported one of the LISP data plane, which is OpenLISP, and we shown a demo in ONOS build. And in this sprint, we started to support another LISP data plane called OpenFlow. So now ONOS is supporting all the open source LISP data planes, which is good. And the second improvement point is we enhanced the map server and map resolver. So to be more specific, we started to support new control message, which are info request and reply, and this LISP map request as well. So user helped me out to implement SMR message, and thanks. And with the current implementation, all the mapping information was permanently stored in map server, which may potentially run out of all the resources. So to avoid this, we added a new mapping information aging mechanism to periodically evict some mapping information based on the time to live value. Then we also improved the control message handling performance in the Linux box by using the native epoll non-blocking IO. And we are still working on tracking down the XTR status. So it requires some time to implement that, as we need to bring the idea of LISP router concept into ONOS. And that's all what I have to report for this sprint. Thanks.
Thanks, Jian. Okay, so just a reminder that we have the Ibis demo and Junco planning next Monday. We're going to have 2 sessions, the morning and the afternoon. There's a variety of demos that will be done then, so we're not going to have any demos today. Please go and update your Junco plans in the planning slide. And then we'll start sprint 1 on 12/12. That should be it. No demos.
All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.